Hello everybody and welcome to Season 2, Week 2 rematch of the century in the Pokemon Invitational Cup. I am here, coach of the Carolina Castforms, Travysty, and I'm super happy to forecast this match as we are going to be looking at our match versus the Butterfrees, which is coached by Hawker. Dan the Man, as others may know him. So, without further ado, if you guys are hyped for this battle, this is the rematch from Season 1, Week 1. Be sure to hit that like button, because this is about to be an amazing battle. I can already tell you that. I knew this from the second that our match was announced and when it was going to be. So, without further ado, we're going to go ahead and go through our team real quick. We brought Mega Metagross, our Bay. We brought Cafe Bay. We brought the Druddigon, we brought Ductrio, we brought Kecleon, and we brought Mandibuzz. I'm not sure what he was expecting from my team to be brought. However, I can look at his team and I see Entei, Mismagius, Escadrille, Sneasel, Zapdos, and of course we get the lovely Liz Mincino. Now, before we get into this battle, I want to go ahead and go through a very important prospect of the Pokemon Invitational Cup that a lot of people forget about. I want you guys to remember there is only one item per each of these Pokemon. Okay, each battle we can only bring one item into a battle. So at the very beginning, one of the most important things about a battle is actually looking at the other person's team and trying to predict what item is this. So I'm going to go ahead and let you guys get some insight on what my thoughts were right off the get-go when I first saw his team. Now, my first initial insights were Mismagius going to be a Scarf set with Shadow Ball. The reason why I thought this is because he doesn't have a Prankster user, and honestly, he only has 2 Mons on his team, I believe, that outspeed Mega Metagross. Maybe. I'm not really sure about that one, but Scarf Mismagius, just the fact that it's there, it makes me automatically think that it's, Scarf Mismagius to counter out Metagross. Of course, it will Scarf itself in the Shadow Ball, and it will easily really hurt. So that is something that I was looking at immediately as soon as we start up our battle. The next thing I was looking at is he brought Entei, so that is a potential Scarfer. However, because of Mismagius' involvement in the battle, if it's not Scarf, I'm expecting it to be Spirit Belt or Specs. And I don't know Mismagius to ever really run Spirit Belt because they don't have a huge move pool, if I remember correctly. Like, they have a good move pool, but it's not a huge one. So I don't believe we would see Spirit Belt and Specs. I mean, even though he could run Specs, I could just bop it with Metagross at that point. Metagross would easily be able to hit it before it hits it. So I highly doubt that. So I'm expecting Choice Band Entei. Just because Sacred Fire Choice Band honestly destroys everything. And only have 2 Mons that are able to really counter that. Escadrille, I'm not sure what to expect from that. It could be Scarf, it could be Lefties, it could be Air Balloon. There's a lot of different options that he actually has with Escadrille, which is why it's such a prize Mon in League format. Sneasel, which it could be Banded, it could be Eviolite, it could be Spirit Belt. There's Zapdos, which looking at the makeup of his team, I'm expecting it to be defensive. Just because he really doesn't have a defensive Mon on his team, and defensive Zapdos will shut down Metagross. The question here is if he is lefties or if he actually went the route of Rocky Helmet. Rocky Helmet Zapdos, the reason why that would be good in this is because it will chip away Metagross and he can roost damage. So it's a very slow death for Metagross because Metagross, I believe, fully invested Jolly Ice Punch, which I believe my Mega Metagross was Jolly, will only do like 52%. And I'm running Ice Punch on this thing, so unless I predict his roost and go for an EQ, I'm not going to hit him. Then Cincino, I never know what it's going to do. It can be King's Rock, it can be Scarf, it can be Banded, it's just a terror, let's be honest. But it's very interesting to see it. I don't know what to expect. That's the one Mon that I really had the most trouble predicting on this one. So we're going to go ahead and get into our battle here. So without further ado, I'm looking at his team and I'm looking at potential leads. So I'm actually going to go for the Druddigon and as my lead off here, expecting him to either go Cincino or Escadrille or Mismagius. I'm expecting one of those 3 to come out as my start, and honestly, Druddigon doesn't have a bad matchup against any of them. It is fully defensive. So let's go ahead and get into this match, as I'm going to go ahead and start off with the Crawling Dragon, nice and Yu-Gi-Oh reference, as he's going to go out into Miss Magus. I correctly predicted it, and I actually decided, instead of setting up Stealth Rocks, to go for the Dragon Tail. The reason why I decided to do this is because if he goes into Zapdos, which I predicted for him to go into, I get to scout out his item immediately. And people really do not understand the importance of being able to scout an item so early in this kind of a league. Because now that I know that he is the Rocky Helmet variant, I do know he doesn't have leftovers recovery that he's going to be working with. And I do know that he is full defensive just based off of the item. Because if you're running Rocky Helmet, you are definitely going to be full defensive. Let's be honest here. So with that being said, I do know what to expect from his Zapdos. He goes out into this thing, which is kind of annoying. I really would have liked for it to gone into Entei or Excadrill here, or Cincino, because all three of those mons just don't really do anything to Druddigon. So I'm just going to go ahead and go into, he's going to go for the Icicle Crash. It doesn't make contact with me, so he doesn't take the Rocky Helmet or Rough Skin damage. I just decided to go for the Glare here, just predicting for him to hit me. I know I'd live any hit, and he's going to go for the Knockoff here. He's going to take a lot of damage right off the get-go. And I'm going to expect for him to Ice Shard here, so I'm going to switch out into Mega Metagross. The reason why I think he knocked off there is because he was predicting Metagross to come in on an Icicle Crash, because it wouldn't have done jack squat to him. So I'm just going to Mega Evolve, take this opportunity to get my Tough Claws boost, and go ahead and BP and kill this thing. Now he's going to go with the Miss Magus, which is a red flag. That's telling me, yes, this thing is Scarf. Yes, this thing is Scarf. I'm going to go out into Druddigon, and I'm going to actually just sack it, because it did lose its Rocky Helmet. The only thing it's good for is sacking. I would have liked to sack it to Entei, that way it took some chip. I'm going to go out into my Jam Veds, which is going to Sucker Punch. Now, cool thing, this is a Reno trap, but however, because this mon has Levitate, I cannot trap this mon. So because of the fact I cannot trap this mon, I decide, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and go for the Sucker Punch, and predicting for him to stay in, because if he stays in, it don't matter anything. If he switches out to Excadrill here, I do get to get an Earthquake. If he goes out into Zapdos, I get a Toxic, and then I can Memento off the next turn. If he goes into Cincino, which I believe was probably one of his best plays. However, Cincino is Squish, so I could have probably just EQ'd, and it probably would have died. I didn't run any calcs on him to bring that in. And then, of course, Entei gets EQ'd, and I outspeed it if it's banned. If it's banded, I just outspeed it and kill it with 2 EQs. Easy. So I'm going to go ahead and go for another Sucker Punch here. If I could have gone for the Earthquake, predicting for him to switch, because I definitely know he wants to save this Miss Magus. However, I do know I outspeed Excadrill, so I am just going to go for the easy EQ that chips it down so much. And we find out this thing is Life Orb, and this is what I was talking about. I didn't even name Life Orb as an item, and it's so big. So this is an Assault Vested set. So I go for the Protean Shadow Sneak right here. And this is Assault Vested, so I'm not really worried about anything. And I see this thing come out, and I'm just like, alright, what is this thing going to do to me? E is going to probably knock off, honestly. I do know that's a move it gets, and because I am Ghost typing, it will be super effective. So I'm looking at it, and I'm just like, look, he's going to go for the knockoff. I can eat up a knockoff. I can easily eat up a knockoff. He can't go for the Tail Slap here. So I'm actually just going to go for the Drain Punch here and get back all the HP I'm about to lose. Because as he knocks off right here, it doesn't kill, and I know I get to get this Drain Punch off. And that it's a crit. The crit didn't matter there. I'm almost 100% certain it didn't matter. So that's a big thing. Scuffleon's already taking down 2 Mons. Slot Dog's coming in. As I'm going to go for the Shadow Sting. The reason why I make this play here, guys, is I want to get chip damage onto this thing. If this thing dies, this is his one of 2 win conditions right here. The other win condition being is Zapdos. Depending on how he plays those 2 Mons, really could change how this game goes. So I'm going to actually go ahead and switch out into Mandibuzz here. The reason why I switch out into Mandibuzz is because I know I'm defensive and I can take one. And I'm actually just going to go ahead and go for the Toxic here, predicting for him to switch out because I know he's not going to try and sit there and KO me. So I'm going to switch out into that, get the Toxic off, and I'm going to switch out into Clefable because if he does not defog here, I can absolutely annihilate whatever comes out. As he does T-Bolt, which activates my red card. Now, that's why getting rocks was so important to me, because I did decide to bring red card Clefable again this week. And the reason why I brought it is just because I looked at his team and I did realize his team does take decent damage from rocks. So if I'm able to get rocks up and keep them up, It's one of those situations where I do get free chip damage on whatever hits it, and Clefable's going to live a hit from anything. So no matter what, I'm getting chip damaged on his team via Stealth Rocks. So by setting up hazards, I'm actually setting myself up for victory here. So with that being said, I'm going to actually go out into my Clefable, my nice and powerful Satan, and I know I can't take this. I know I'm going to die to it because of my HP. But I am going to stay in on it because I do not want Mandibuzz to take any unnecessary damage. So he Sacred Fires, Satan goes down, unfortunately. And I'm going to go ahead and switch out into Mandibuzz here because Mandibuzz can tank one hit. He does get the burn here, and I am going to go for the foul play. With that being done there, that's actually pretty big for me because I'm actually able to get him low enough to where another foul play will take him out. And that's going to be a dead Entei. That's pretty big for the team, as that means he only has defensive Zapdos left. Now, he has to try and figure out a way to keep this thing healthy. He just lost so much HP from Stealth Rocks. He's going to go for the Roost, but I'm actually just going to go ahead and go for the foul play. The reason behind that is just because I don't want him to get another Roost off Net's turn and be at even higher HP. And I'm going to go out and I'm going to touch you, and he's going to touch him with his fist. Get a nice and powerful Ice Punch off. Heat Wave does, I think, like 50-60% if it's defensive. Maybe. I think it's like 50 or 60 if it's like got some investment. But Ice Punch is going to be able to kill it, and Mega Megros is able to go through. Now, big things on that battle was the fact that I was able to figure out that Miss Magus was Scarf and deal with it properly. And also controlling my rocks, making sure that my rocks stayed up. Because Excadrill and Zapdos both had the potential to get rid of rocks. Making it so they weren't able to get rid of my rocks was actually pretty big. Because he was forced to kill Ductrio, because Ductrio would have just killed Excadrill the next turn. No matter what, and that would have been pretty big as well, because that meant Dugtrio outsped his whole entire team. And if Dugtrio got to live for a bit longer, I could have momented anything and then switch out into Mega Metagross and just killed something, or I could have switched out into Clefable and killed something as well. So with that being said, if you guys enjoyed, be sure to hit that like button, because this now means that the Carolina Castforms are now 1-1. We brought it back, baby, with a nice and powerful 1-0. I got my rematch against Hawker. Hawker made an amazing battle, and I was super hyped for this match, and it definitely didn't disappoint, and I hope it didn't disappoint you guys. So without further ado, subscribe today if you guys want to become a part of YouTube's greatest travesty, and be sure to stay tuned for more Pokemon Invitational Cups, Pokemon Invitational Cup battles, as the Carolina Castforms look to take the place by storm. Thank you guys again for watching, and peace. I'm out.